What's up and welcome in, guys, to another episode of Q&A, actually. Q&A Mondays with Levon, and it's great to have all you guys in and coming in slowly. So I'm here for an hour or so, guys, just to take any questions. Welcome in, Jazz. Appreciate you, brother, coming in and spending some time, and everyone else that will come in. Please, guys, if you can just see down the bottom here, I've got that little banner going on the road to 1,500. I think we're around 1,458. I mean, Ash and I have done a massive year of content. It will probably ramp down as the Warriors season comes to an end. So we're about, 58. So that's 42 members or 42 subscribers away from 1,500. If there's 42 of you out there, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And help us get to 1,500. Hopefully by the Sharks game, that would be great. But technically, from the end of the actual NRL season, would be good too in 2 weeks' time. Either way, we would love to get you guys to subscribe to us. And we've just had a massive year. We really appreciate everyone. We can't say enough about all of our mods, Jazz, everyone that's been involved. So, yes. Hey, my man, Di, how are you doing, brother? Hope you're well, my man. And I know you're on tour at the moment, brother. Hope it's all going well. All your dates have been good and all that type of thing. Look, guys, I'm just going to get quickly into the game. And actually went up to watch the game to go to SJ's last game, and man, it was a really cool experience. Want to give a shout out to Siren. Tamaki Warrior. It was great to meet him. He's a guy that Tamaki Warrior on Instagram. He does a lot of work with the development stuff. So he was obviously out at Jersey Flag on Saturday morning watching their game. He's involved with Harold Matz and all those SG Ball. He'll be in and around all the development pathways, and we're looking to have him on at some stage next year or when things are ramping up, especially I think SG Ball, Harold Match probably starts February. So expect some content around that time in the off season as we build into the development guys. Great chat with him around. We want to get everyone familiar with the guys in development so they're not surprised when they come through as to who they are, what their skill set and all that is. So it'll be great to talk more about that type of stuff. Caught up with Sammy Hewitt and Blake Ashford. Always nice to catch him with the boys there. Always doing a wonderful job. Big shout out to bro Teets. If you know Teets on Twitter, I'm sure he's on the Warriors.com forum. I've seen him there. But it's very smart footy brain, man. I think he's been actually on This Warriors Life with Fonzie originally. Great to just bump into him. We're both from Hamilton, living in Hamilton, and good to talk footy with him. He's a really clued on guy. If you ever come across some of his stuff, he's very knowledgeable about footy. And so, yeah. But anyway, guys, let me get into... So just my experience at the game was awesome. Really unfortunate with the result. We'll get into the detail around it. We understand that. But, yeah, let's get into some of these comments and we'll build into this discussion. T-Mac, Yeah, it is, and I will get into it now actually about the whole situation and my experience being at the game. Um, hey, my man Jared, I hope you had a fun time. I'm just catching up on Bloke and Bar where Kempy goes off about Crichton. Yeah, cool. And I'll give my take on it. I actually want to kind of talk about the referee throughout the game. Um, he really lacked control. At times, he really lacked um, just consistency, and he got some calls wrong. For example, there was the ball plant by Marnie, and he got that one wrong, in my opinion. That was definitely a ball plant, and we got penalised for that. There were a few other ones that were just really iffy. I mean, there was, and I'm thinking the boys from my experience watching them, Jazz, he had a knock on early, and then he had the second knock on, which if you looked at it was actually a strip. So I actually think there's some times where our boys are too scared to do the captain's challenge in fear of that it will we won't get it. And I'm actually going to go back quickly to 2023, which I thought we probably did a little bit better on the captain's challenge in that era, but still not good enough compared to other teams. Now it is a hit and miss. Sometimes you got to be very, very sure about it. But I feel on in terms of our responsibility as a team, we do need to be better in the captain's challenge strategy, like communication, all those things. There's times that I'm looking at Barnett and the guys aren't convincing him that they need to go for it, or he's not getting the right comms, and maybe he's not pulling the trigger. Tohu, I think, was a little bit more confident in doing a captain's challenge. Not saying one's better than the other, but I'm just thinking strategy wise next year, like these are things that are costing us points, possessions, all that. We actually need to sort out the captain's challenge next year. Because Jazz, that second one, it was technically we probably could have got the call from Marnie with hands in the ruck because there was a raking motion. But I think there's just the boys have a fear. We just have a fear of just pulling the trigger because I suppose we're just so we're struggling with the bunker, we're struggling with the refereeing. So, hey Dean, how you doing, my man? Good to see you. So then so the ref really lacked control or wasn't giving calls. I felt intentionally at times. He could see what was in front of him, and he would kind of avoid it or not ignore it. There was times where he called held, and the guys took him back 10 meters. Like he could have pinned that right there and then. And I think the NRL has this symptom of you can call penalties, but they don't want it. They don't want the game to become a penalty fest, right? But at times you have to turn the game into a penalty fest to gain control. I think that's one of the issues where these referees, like, there's just so many blatant calls that they're missing that it's almost like they have to keep the game going. They don't want to keep it stop start, but you have to call these infringements when they come. So that was one thing. Then the next thing was when it came to that hit. Now I'm going to be I got my thought process on I was on this. In the old rules, for me, that was fine what Crichton did. Crichton's movement wasn't super inflected, should I say? But people were saying that Crichton stood his ground. He did not. He did not stand his ground. If you see Crichton's move it, he does lift the shoulder into the tackle. So it is by technicality a 10 in the bin. It should be. I'm just saying for old school's sake, under old school rules, that's fine. You fell into my shoulder. It's not my problem. But if you see Crichton's movement, he does lift into the tackle. He goes in high onto the tackle. So my thing about that is, yes, it should have been 10 in the bin. We've seen this before. We've seen this play out. The Tamate Martin, they had an age to look at that one. And the weak gutted dog hit him in the head. Bunker went quiet. This one here, RTS is dazed and knockout. I had time to look at it. Bunker went quiet. For me, these guys are willing to sack players. For example, I just saw here. Wyatt Raymond was letting the dogs do anything. Yes. Sorry, I thought you were maybe talking about, but the bunker guy. These guys are willing to sack the bunker guy after the fact, even though it's clear on the spot that it was a sin bin. See, the NRL have no responsibility. They have no culpability because they'll make sure that you don't win the game or that you don't get the penalty. You won't get the consequence for it, and then they'll sort it out afterwards when it does nothing for you. It does nothing for your team. Now, I'm not saying the Warriors are going to win. I think the Warriors were always going to lose, but it takes an opportunity away for you to win a game. As you build position and the other team gets tired, maybe over time, that result of 12 men would have slowed the Bulldogs down enough to maybe get to a really close game. It might be a golden point shootout. It changes the complexion of the game. So that's why, for me, this bunker is flawed, absolutely flawed, and they need to sort it out. But for me, on old school rules, I'm kind of okay with what Crichton did there. He did move into it, but I saw Dylan Walker pretty much do the same thing against the Dolphins player, 10 in the bin. I didn't see all the Sea Eagles ones, but I heard it was 3 of them. They all got 3 in the bin. The problem with the NRL is it just changes every night. If they have one bad night where there's 3 of them, they're like, okay, we got to make sure we don't do too many the next day because it's going to impact TV ratings. People are going to get on our case. But because they're so inconsistent, when something pops up and they respond in the totally wrong way, it just ruins it. And it makes the competition feel rigged. It makes people feel angry. I mean, I'm not angry at the Bulldogs. I'm not angry at those guys. I'm just angry at the officials. They can't be consistent. And the last thing that's interesting about this is that when that happened, and Crichton and Preston saw it was just a penalty, they were geeing each other up. Like it's like they broke out of the prison, or they beat a life sentence at court. They got the no guilty call. You know what I mean? Yeah. Stephen Crichton, you for the counts of triple homicide, you are not guilty by all counts. And if you should have saw them when we got the penalty and they had to go back for the kick, obviously for the penalty, they were dapping each other up. They were like, "Yo, we got off, man." But it was like a motivating thing for them. Like they were super happy that what they had done, it's like they got away with murder. You know what I mean? So that was a little thing I saw. You probably didn't see that on the camera, but I saw them two running back, and they're like, "Yeah, bro, yeah, we got them, bro." And that's probably a mental thing for them, geeing each other up. But I just thought that was so interesting part of it as well. Okay, let me get some comments. Zach, as long as Casey Badger's not on the bucket, we should be. Hey, bro, tell me about it. Leo Thompson looking to check the open market. Should we chase? I will get into that, Mo. I'll get into Leo Thompson. I'm just going to hit these other ones. Jared, to compare for the night before with Manly threes, then cut to Crichton and Max King getting away. And Max King too. I don't want to forget Max King. Now, I don't know if they missed it or not, but there was one hit up in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game. We were about to go on the goal line. I swear Max King's shot went up and hit him on flush on the head. That was like near the goalpost. And they just completely missed it or just let it go. I have no idea, but I'd love to see a replay of it. But from watching it live, I thought he actually hit him bang in the head. If anyone saw that part, I'm not sure if that's the call, but be interesting to see what Critter gets and what JWH gets. Yeah, well, JWH, he's got that history. Critter's pretty much a clean boy. He might get a slap on the wrist, pretty much. Chris, evening all. Honestly, something I've noticed after watching the other games this year is that if you're a bottom team, you ain't getting any calls go your way. Felt like the Dogs were always going. Yes, I agree. I agree with this because it feels so blatant at times that they have an intention that a team should win. You want to call that rigged? You want to call it what it was? Whatever. They have an intention that the result should in the end go to the team higher up on the table. And that is my concern, is that you start to, call the 6 against, start to not call the penalties against. It's the penalties against. I don't mind them calling 6 against on us. That's our own problem. But when you don't call it on them, or you don't call the penalties on them, that's when I start getting really worried. I believe Credit is getting a 1 to 2 game ban. Thank you. The referee needs to have the power to make the call, not the bunker. Great call, T. Because what's happened is that the power's been taken away from the referee, and it's shifted the responsibility onto this bunker who you can't see. I mean, the people's voices, but you can't do anything while they're stuck in their little bunker, right? They don't feel the crowd yelling at them, booing them when a ref makes a bad call. The ref can experience it, i.e., who was it, Chicken at 2017 World Cup, and the Tongans nearly the Tongans nearly killed him, even though the call was right. I think it was a strip, but you remember that one. So what could have happened if back in the day with the bunkers, that Chicken could have put that up to the bunker and just got out of it Mount Smart before it came as no try. He just get on the bus, get out of Mount Smart, bro, before because that was ruthless. But yeah, you know what I mean. And the bunker's interference, I agree with it. I definitely agree. Pre-game, how you doing, my man? NRL6 would be a good watch with 30 with funny old guys. Yeah, old Buzz. No one's still not good at that when it comes to testing the waters with what they can get. Absolutely. You watch a game of the Storm, right? Get penalised 4 or 5 times at the start, and they'll keep putting the pressure on the referee to say, "Hey, you're gonna call us again here? Okay, well, we'll get away with it. We'll drag that tackle out. We'll do all of that." So Bellamy has that way of his system where he's very much of the mindset like we will continue to push the boundaries until you say where they are, and if you keep dropping them, then we'll keep filling that space up. Hence, some of their tackles taking 10 seconds and all that. Gentlemen on Toby, welcome, Tony. You get shoved every game, bro. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I feel for teams like West Tigers just as much as us that they get similar treatment. Yeah, Jazz, in regards to the on-field refs, I feel the game is getting too much for them to keep up properly. The game is faster with less interruptions at times, and they run more than anybody in the field. That's a good point. That is a good point. The MO from the NRL is to have almost like no stoppages in the game. They want a fast-paced game with limited interruption of. I mean, talk about the 60 games. They don't want the 60 games is pretty much because they don't want penalties to stop the game. They want the game flowing. And now that's caused more. Yeah, the referee's probably getting through more sets of 6, more tackles to judge, 10 meters, all those things that they have to have gone to the bunker. But the when it gets to the bunker, it's it's just all over the place. Did we even get to activate 18th man? And no, that's the problem, Zach, because the 18th man, you can only activate it after 3 HIAs, I believe. It's ridiculous. And actually, I believe they should go to a blooming 18-man bench, so 5 subs, but still the same interchanges. So you could probably have a specialist. You could have 4 forwards probably, and 1 specialist back. That would be my thought anyway. Jared, imagine the bunker of being around the games in the 80s, lots of heads. Yeah, that would be insane. Melbourne players learned from one of the best in the game. We know about that. Absolutely. One of the best to do it. Could probably go in the Hall of Fame twice, one as a ref and one as a player. How many times now after a game have we had the NRL now come out and say we made a mistake? Now Credit has a 2-game ban and people mock us for saying the NRL don't want to worry. Well, it's exactly. I said it with the Tamide, the weak gutted dog hit on Tamide in the Golden Point one. They had an age to look at it, an age, and I said, I don't want you to come out and apologize. Please do not apologize, because if you apologize, you're pretty much saying we didn't want the Warriors to get the penalty there to judge the game, to impact the game. And I'm saying, like, there's 5 minutes there. It wasn't saying we're going to win, but they don't want any type of moment like that to really, yeah, it's just flawed. Thank you, punter. It's 2 HIs. My apologies. Yeah, so I thought it was 3, but it's 2. Thank you, punter. Kurt Fleming, channel member. They're holding down, and the tackle was ridiculous. I felt like I was screaming, "Where's the penalty?" At the TV screen. I said they even had the held call and they drag you back 10 meters. I mean, you just can't do that without getting penalized or given a 6 again. You know what I mean? So, and Jazz saying we're going to need refs to come on off their own bench at halftime. The way things, you need to interchange the referee. It's gold, Jazz. It's gold. Nah, get a few conspiracy theorists around saying it's all rigged. Makes you wonder sometimes. A lot of money involved. My thing. I never get into conspiracy theories, and actually, the majority of the time, I'm with the referees. But my problem is that the NRL has, like, the NRL, if it's the 80th minute and it's tied, and someone head highs someone in front of the post, they don't want to give that penalty. Like, they just don't. They don't want games to be decided by penalties a lot of the time. It's weird. Unless you're probably a top team. They really do not want games decided by correct officiating. Like, for me, correct officiating is more important than trying to have a perfectly, it's almost like they want TV ratings. They want to go to Golden Point. They want to get the maximum amount of TV ratings to make money off of it. When some of these games, these players are infringing, you just have to call it. Like, if they leave the 10 early and they try to charge down, call it, man. Call it. Like, they'll learn. They'll have to learn from this stuff. The other problem I have with the NRL is that they always change up their rules. Where's the disruptor gone? I saw a disruptor maybe a week or two ago, didn't get called. Like, they forget about their own rule set until it meets whatever, like, oh, no, we don't want to use that rule anymore. Like, at least do the rule for the whole year. Like, just do that rule for a whole year. Don't change it. But it's like they forget it. They have a crackdown on disruptors, right? And then for all of a sudden, you just forget about it. Like, I thought maybe even Dallin could have been called on a disruptor. I don't know what it was, but there was just some games I'm thinking, that's technically a disruptor. And you guys have just forgotten about that rule all of a sudden. It's, Jared saying Kempy brought this up about the Warriors fans having to watch the rest of the games where the refs would go back 2 sets to penalize teams for lesser hits than the ones we got. There was the one Marata did against the Sharks last year. There's been what was that one Montoya did? And then it happened to us and they didn't even call it. Oh, yeah, Montoya did like a shoulder charge, right? And they went back and saw it. And that was when Salmon did his hit on Tamati and they didn't even want a piece of it. Yes, pre-game. Yeah, Leo looking to leave the Knights. We'll talk about that. Some good talking points. I'll just finish off these more of the referee ones, the refs. Sorry, punter knows about that one. The Shackle Draggers hate us too, bro. We have no chance. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, and I was at the game watching the ref, and he just had no control. He was intentionally just not allowing us to get in the game, not giving us anything. And I'm not, again, for Bulldogs fans that want to come at us or whatever, it's not that we're saying we're going to win the game. We never said we were going to win the game. That's not what the point of it is. The point of it is we just want things to be fair. If you watch a game the night before and it's a head high and as a sin bin for pretty much the same thing that the player did in this game. We just want that same, consistency. Hey, Daniel. And yes, Chris, yeah, we'll get to that, man. Okay, so back to our families. We still leaked 30 points. Not 1 point in the second half. I have concerns that Webby can't seem to get us up to play for these last games. Yeah, absolutely. I was quickly talking Leo Thompson. Yes, I did see that. Ash actually sent me that little link that Leo Thompson would be coming back. Well, not coming back, sorry. He's looking for a release. Does Leo Thompson fit the mold of what we would need at the Warriors? Yes and no. Now the thing I'm talking about is that we are kind of going into a state where we are developing players. But at the same time, you got some cap money that you have from releasing or selling players that you need to use. Now, the majority would probably say it's probably best to put that money into development. That's cool. But Leo Thompson, depending on his age, I think he's still quite young. He might be a player you want to invest in for a long term. And it's nice to bolster your squad with Kiwi internationals, Origin players, blah, blah, blah. Now, say if Leo Thompson does sign and you have to sacrifice one of your development players to be sold to another team or whatever, who of that development player or up and comer would you sell? Now, if anyone in the chat can give me their top 5 players from top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I said you had to sell 2 of them, who would they be? So for me, probably my top 5 would be Sifakula. Not in this order, but Sifakula, Halasima, Leatoa. And then I'm probably going to go Laban, MGT. Now, I'm saying you have to get, say if you have to get rid of 2 of those to get Leo Thompson. Who are those 5 would you get rid of? So you got, who did I say? Sifakula, Leatoa, Halasima. That's my top 3. Then you got Laban, and then for me, MGT. Those top 5. And say because you want to get Leo Thompson, you got to get rid of 2 of them. Who would those be for you? Just trying to put a theory or hypothesize out there. If you're going to bring a Leo Thompson back, maybe you have to get 2 off your books. Okay, here we go. Yep, agree with you, Joe. Pre-game saying if we see Leo and Fish on the same team, that would be insane. Leo, Barnett, Fish at 13. Okay. Mo saying development not ready yet. Still another year away. Okay, there you go. That's another thought. Tony saying, why is Webby not allowed to take a reel or film of our injustices to the top and show them how we get shafted every week? I agree, man. I totally agree with you. Webby, for the longest time since day dot, has always put it back on the players. Always been accountable for. He's always put the accountability back on us, which I agree with to an extent. But there comes a time where it becomes too egregious. You need to account for it. You know what I mean? Straight swap for new Cordy and it's a deal. Okay, so you want to keep. So you'd say Punter is saying, I'll take Leo Thompson, I'll get rid of new Cordy, and I'll keep my 5 development players. Okay, that's interesting. Yep. MP, hey, welcome, MP. The other thing Kempy said that I caught on was last week we like speed running the ball, having at least 1 star center, genuine dummy half that has speed. I'll just quickly say about this right now. The best center run of this season was by who? Best one-on-one, best run. It was Leka Halasima. A development 18-year-old, 19-year-old got on the outside of Sherry, beat the fullback and nearly scored. That's the best center run I've seen all year, one-on-one. So that tells you a lot about our centers. I can't tell you a center right now that can beat his man one on one. Pompey can't do it. RTS, Rocco Berry, haven't really seen it. Haven't seen it. MGT, a little bit. Leotoa, yes. That's what I'm talking about. Next year, you're probably looking in and around Leotoa, MGT, Berry for defensive center, but I haven't seen him take a man one on one. But that tells you that those top guys of Pompey and RTS, they don't have what we need to really take the squad to next level. I love Pompey, but if we really want to be next level, we want to increase the speed of our play. You want to bring in a Leotoa or an MGT for sure. That's just something that that we need to really, really think about. And at least one star center and genuine dummy half that has speed. Well, the fastest dummy half I've seen this year is probably Paul Roach. If you're looking for speed out of dummy half, so those are things to think about. Fish stays prop. Yep. Pre-game. This is a good one. I will give up New Quarter and Jackson for Leo. See, yeah, Jackson Ford's on the books. Another Aussie. Ali, Lecker, Levon have already signed long term. Okay, that's cool. So if you have Sifa, I imagine Sifa Kula will be in there too. He'll probably get a long term contract, I would imagine. So those are your top four, right? Lecker, Ali, and Dimitrik for me are starters next year. Ali for my left center. Lecker is my edge cover or edge starter. I don't care how you do it up. He needs to be on the edge. He needs an opportunity. And Halasima is he's definitely my impact forward for the whole season. Laban at a shout. I think Laban's still got some development to do, but he does look like I was watching the Cup boys, and he's almost too much of a wrecking ball. Like he's getting to a point where Cup is too easy for him. That tells you a lot about his development. Kia ora, whānau. Kia ora, Tanya, channel member. Thank you. Great to see you. Abraha is saying the first 20 minutes against the Dogs was very similar to the game against Melbourne in the first 20 minutes. Yeah, it tells you that storyline has been familiar every year. Every game this year, it's a familiar storyline. Kia ora, Naz. How you doing, man? Yes, the first time he's called it out. And that's where I think he's getting to a point now where we just have to call it out. Hey, Miz, hope you're doing well. PJ Tucker, Pompey's steps beat him every time. Yeah, but I just feel as though you do need some speed. Pompey's steps are always usually coming back inside. I need someone on the outside that can pull them on the outside to get on the outside of the center and draw the winger in. But you know what I mean? Lecker could be a great center. It's not crazy to put a young forward at center, and it's been done a lot in the past. Could be. Have to have Rocco. Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm just saying to you that I haven't seen Rocco beat anyone one-on-one. Now, I'm not saying he has to, but Leotoa for me is one that looks potential to be an out-and-out center. Rocco for me is definitely defensive metrics, all those things, and I think he'll actually improve. I'll definitely give him time, but I'm just saying of what I've seen, no one has really truly beaten the outside center, barring the Kalasima. Jaco, Rocco and Ali should be centers next year. All good. The club must be looking to transition Paulie Roach into a 7. Why would they move Hansen onto the bench, who is the more natural 7 where he's played the entire season? That's a great call, punter. I did watch the game. I don't think Paulie had a very good game at 7. A lot of misfired kicks, passing structurally was a little bit off. I don't think he's. For me, think he's actually a 7. I really do see him as an impact hooker. But That is all. Yeah, that's all I'll say for now. Pasigala just signed so 3 years. Yeah, okay, cool. So again, go back to that Leah Thompson argument. Maybe we've brought up the best. Have we technically maybe put enough money into the development guys? Have we paid them all? Like have we got Sifakula might be the last one. MGT has he got a contract? Um, and if they have, then maybe we've got some money for Leo Thompson, which is perfectly fine because, like I think it was Fallon pregame was saying, maybe you go get rid of Jackson Ford, Marata. Yeah, he's on a pretty good big contract, so I don't know how you offload him, but maybe Jackson Ford doesn't, re-sign. He might leave in the off season. Walker may go, so that's another thing. Luke Adams, JFH, Egan, Tohu, Catewell, Barnett, Walker, Clark, Sifakula, Leka, Newcordy. Thoughts? Now, see, me personally, I do like Barnett out on the edge. I think there's at times where I actually don't like Webby where he goes on the edge with Barnett, right? Like how he did. I think he started on the edge, which I thought was cool. And then he pushed him back into the middle. Am I right? And you're just losing a lot of energy from Barnett. You're losing. There's some missed assignments, some missed tackles from him. I'm just thinking, can he hold up as an out and out prop for the whole game? I actually prefer him on an edge. I think he's got good skills on the edge. Remember he's the number one offloading player of the year, and I've talked about our back rowers need to be able to break through the line and offload. Now, if he's the number one offloading guy, now he's typically from a front row where you go into contact, you turn and give the offload. But I need back rowers that can go into the line, break through that line, and give the offload if they can. So I do like Barnett there. Catewell, I see him there. I know he's improved. Now Leka might be. I've heard Leka and Ash has told me that Leka is a natural left edge. So maybe Catewell and Leka work together as an interchange. Clark, yeah, we've heard that around Clark. Yeah, that could look like a good Scott side. Now, Newcorder's value is underrated because maybe not at this stage of his career, but he did have a center option as a defensive option, as a center. So there are options there. I mean, Catewell can move to a center, right? If an injury happens, Clark gives you some more options. But I mean, it is nice that one. I was actually thinking of having because I'm worried about Egan long term. I mean, and I'm looking actually if I could have it, I'd probably go with Roach, Sifakula, Leka, Newcordy. Just to say, for example, we don't get Clark. So Roach will give you hooker cover, but it'll also give you backline cover, well, technically halves cover, I suppose. But that's another option too. Punter saying once Levon develops a solid motor, he'll come good. Yeah, I agree. He looked, like I said, he looked a little bit too strong for Cup yesterday on the weekend. He absolutely looked a little bit too strong. Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, my man. Sorry, I was going to get my headphones. Oh, okay. Hey, my man. Apparently, no sound on you, brother. Just need to get your sound up and go. Tony, how many members have signed up? We've got currently 22 members, man. Yeah, thank you to everyone that's become a member. Yeah, Ash, you're good now, my man. How you doing, bro?
There we go. Good, bro. Good. How you doing? As I just kind of said before, guys, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I thought I'd jump on. I said I did a bit of grocery shopping and run around to Savo. And I was like, I saw Levon's online. Let's jump on, do a Q&A with the bros. So
yeah, man. No, jump in,
enjoy
brother.
talking to you boys.
Yeah, I was just talking about. So I remember I sent you this message, right? I said, if you go and get Leo Thompson, and you had to sacrifice. I've said 5, so 5 development players. You had to sacrifice 2. Just theorizing. We're just checking an idea out.
Yep.
Who would be your top 5? And who if you had to get rid of 2 of them, who would the 2 that you get rid of? Not saying
so
this
my
will
top 5.
Yep, go to your top 5.
The top 5. My number 1's Lecker. Just watching him SG ball, bro. I think he's the one that has the most special ability. I'd go Leka, Dimitri Sifakula, Ali Leotar. They're my top 3.
Yes, yep.
Then I'll probably go Laban. And it's only because Laban's only just he's just getting into his dominant self now in Cup. Like, when he jumped up to first grade, when he jumped back to Cup, I saw a lot of inconsistencies, but he's starting to really find himself again. But then again, he just seems like a body that for me could be a little bit on the inconsistent end. I'm not too sure. I've seen a little bit out of it. He's definitely a good talent, but he would probably be my number 4. And number 5, I would probably have, it's out of MGT or Tanner Stowers-Smith. I think everyone's forgetting about Tanner. Obviously coming back with an injury, losing a little bit of his fitness, but him in the middle is a really, really nice piece. But out of the 2 that I would let go for Leo Thompson, if that was an option, which I would hate to do, right? And I know you're only using it as a hypothetical. I would probably say, I'd probably have to be like Laban and MGT. Either that or Laban and, I'd keep Tanner around because I feel like Tanner could be a future captain if he gets everything in order, but that's the biggest thing. He has to get everything in order, right? So, yeah, that's the 2 for me.
Yeah. I just theorizing. I was just trying to check in with everyone on the chat. I've got the same 5 as you pretty much, bro.
We're saying that, bro. Do we classify Tane as a part of that development or nah? Because Tane obviously coming over from the Titans. Like if we got Tane, I think Tane's probably the closest to being a first grader, maybe out of the lot too. But the thing with Tane is obviously jumping into that fullback role. As I brought up to you guys in the chat, he's only finished 2 complete games this year in first grade. Every other game, bro, it's head knocks and injuries, and we've been dealing with that all year. So. Yeah. Do you classify him maybe as a development? Do you add him in there, or are we just looking at the boys that we've grown homegrown?
No, I add him in there. I add in anyone pretty much that hasn't, because Tane hasn't got a long-term contract with us, has he?
Pretty sure he does. I think he's at 26. I think he's till 26. I have to double check though. I'm just double checking now for you, bro.
Yeah, if you can, because I'd be really interested because. Like the other thing might be is that we've got these guys signed up, and Leo Thompson, I saw in the chat, might be say for example Jacko Ford leaves, Leo Thompson might be a good addition. Just saying, like an Aussie player that might want to go. Yeah, you go.
So Tane's 25, bro. Yeah, so you're right. So he's only got another year left in his contract, but. We're kind of touching on this the other day. There's no other team in the comp that I really think that will nick Tane. Like judging by how many good fullbacks there is in a competition at the moment, and I do think that Tane loves being in New Zealand. I do think we'll probably reoffer him a contract because he is probably the shining light, one of the shining lights in our New South Wales Cup team. He's probably one of the most dangerous that we have there. But yeah, like other names too to think about, like, we got a lot of SG ball boys that are all coming up. Like, Jesse Sorich is a halfback that I really, really like to watch in the SG ball. He's got a lot of talent. Obviously, we saw the highlight packages of Jack Thompson. I'm not too sure how long Thompson will probably stick around with us. But from going to Newcastle and coming to us is a big move for him. And he was amazing. I sent you his highlights and stuff. He was a Harold Matts halfback. Good young half too, but there's a lot of great juniors. But yeah, if I'm going top 5 homegrown, those were my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, legit, thank you, man. put up with my RTS to FB comments. No problem. Hey,
You're right, mate. We all able to have opinions, bro. You're allowed to have your opinion, 100%. I'm not going to, I love it.
Yeah. So then the question becomes: does Leo Thompson take up too much minutes and time from your Sifa callers?
That's my argument.
Your Halasemas, because it's a fair argument. It's a genuine fair argument, and I can understand. Like, you want to keep the top team kind of, coming through, but then, I mean, what's the pros for you of a Leo Thompson?
We're looking at probably a future Kiwis prop. Like, he's already touched the international stage. He's already shown his ability there too. Like, in the international stage, I'm sure the development with him and Fish together will be, a lot like more fast track, because Fisher's already been with him within that Kiwis camp. He's already at the ability to become a top fledged prop in the competition. He's probably just a level below it at the moment, but judging on the rest of the props that we have, other than Barnett, who I kind of push up into that top range now, he would be the next cab off the rank. Sifakula will probably take another year before he starts getting known as probably a top prop in a competition, players like that. Yep. My big thing on Leo, bro, is like, the thing I was kind of touching on is, all the news, obviously Dylan Walker, right? No one really knows the real what's going on there. Obviously, his management team and all that have come out and said, no, there's no truth to it. Obviously, the Warriors have come out and said he hasn't asked for a release at all. That's all safe and sound. But, when there's smoke, there's fire. The amount of time, like when the Morning Shift boys did the comment, I was like, why would you do that? But also, you know what I mean? Like, but that's the only thing when I see this, right? And I see obviously Dylan Walker trying to piece everything together. Maybe it's not true or not, but that would be the only other option I could see this working. Aaron Clark's coming in to probably play a 13 role. We still got Tohu around the club. He'll probably be the rotational piece, but losing someone like Dylan Walker as well, he'll kind of feed into being maybe our prop, and Barnett will probably be more so looked at as a lock position player. That's the only thing that was playing on my head a little bit on the ride home. So, I wouldn't be mad if us getting Leo Thompson, but, I think I've said multiple times, I would love for us to prefer our juniors these days now. I think we don't need to go hunting big in the market, but if he comes over for, not a massive price tag and we still got a lot to keep our juniors around, I wouldn't be mad having Leo Thompson in a New Zealand jersey. He's got good ties, obviously, with his brother playing, in the Super Rugby, great, play in the Super Rugby as well. Maybe you can entice him to get into development as well. I don't know, but there's positive and negatives of both ways.
Yeah, bro. Hey, just quickly, Luke Adams, how do you be a member? Luke, if you get on the on your desktop, I'm not sure if it's on you on your app if you're watching us, but it says join. Click join, bro, and just follow the steps, and you become a channel member, man. I forgot about Zion, actually, man. Where does Zion?
I did too. I did too, to be honest, bro. He's a forgotten one at the moment, when he had the injury, but I would probably have him above Laban. Oh, him and Laban, for me, are interchangeable. I think Zion's a really good piece that I don't think Zion will ever touch, top. I think he'll be a really good, hard-hitting prop, but I don't think he'll be considered maybe a top 5, top 10 front row in the competition, where I kind of see Sifakula, the way he moves, his slick ball playing, stuff like that, probably could get considered into that category a little bit higher. And obviously Lecker, and I could see Lecker becoming one of the best edge back roles in the competition within the next couple of years. So, but yeah, Zion, I totally forgot about him just then, bro. And he's an absolute freak too, right? So,
no, I think he's in the plans, Luke, as well. Like I said, all these guys, Zion's, they're better. They're better than the Jazz Tavangas and Bunty R4s, or will be. So that for me, it tells you a lot that we're upgrading. The development guys are beating out the Jazz Tavangas and the Bunty R4s. So
that's definitely it.
We are upgrading through development, which is huge. That's huge. And then quickly, Mo saying, Tohu only one more year. There's a cap space. Again, you might get Leo this year. And Jacko, we're just talking theoretical, bro. We're just having a bit of fun. If you got Leo this year, it will look better in 2026 when Tohu's out. You know what I mean? Like there's some things you just got to get them early, and then once you lose a couple players, then it all looks different by the following year. Just, I don't know, just some theorizing of ideas.
I don't think there's a bad, like, there could be bad, like, anything could turn bad and all that. But, like, if we end up getting Leo Thompson, I think that, like, the club and Webby will figure out everything going on, like, giving time to our juniors, stuff like that. I think we're slightly making a change towards that now. Obviously, letting go of Jazzy Devanga, all the rumors coming out that we lowballed him on a contract offer. That more so says that we prioritize probably players coming up instead of him. That sort of thing. So I think that we'll handle the situation really, really well. But yeah, it's just, whatever you prefer to juniors, prefer getting a guy that's probably more established at the moment that probably still can grow into a high potential. Crosby's another one too, bro. We're forgetting about Crosby.
Yeah, we can't forget Crosby too.
But see, the thing with Crosby, bro, I think he's still like 2 to 3 years away. 2 years away. I don't see him, like, he's still not even a consistent cup player at the moment. He'll train with the first grade squad next year. I want to see him play cup consistently first before I start putting him on those sort of pedestals. But he has a ton of potential as well. I think everyone can see that.
And I know, I'm kind of big on signing the younger guy. Leo Thompson is 24.
Yeah,
so, again, if you're going to do it, build a young squad. I'm actually not fussed either way. Like, for me, there's kind of this excitement of seeing the young guys just have a crack and show their talents. Like, I thought Sefakula was awesome on Friday night. Like,
it was unreal.
Like, I was doing those videos, just like quick play the ball, like strong upper body. He was a bit sharper than the previous week. And even the week before then. So you can tell he's getting game time and he'll be good. I was actually talking to my mate Tater, and he was saying, actually try keep him around that weight a little bit. That kind of that weight is probably a separator from him being maybe too lean. And what do you think, Ash? Like, maybe just keep him, or just drop a few, like a tad.
I prefer. I'm starting to prefer maybe a little bit less body weight on him. I think he'll still hold on to the same, like, contact. He'll still hold on to a lot of things. If he just maybe like 5 kegs off, like, I think NRL.com listed him at 110. I'm probably stretching. He's probably a bit at the 115s. I think he's carrying a little bit at the moment, just getting back off injury. So I would love to see him around that 110 to 105. And that would end up getting versatility as well. I know we don't want to change our forward back too much, but he could easily become the lock that we want as well. Like, people forget he was actually coming up as a lock. He's got really good ball playing. So the lighter body probably would help that a little bit more too. So, yeah.
Just this one. What was this one? Oh, where is it? I just missed it. Pre-game. Here you go. Not trying to be rude, but for me, it's time to say goodbye to CNK the next year or two. I feel I'm looking a little slow, not putting as much effort as in the way. I know you, Ash, you've actually had a good point about CNK. And I don't think pre-game. I don't think it's quite time to do that personally as well. No. He has looked a little bit slow. I mean, I felt there was one. I was at the game behind the goalpost, and the try that Sherry scored, and he came across and he was just on all fours, and he looked really, really sad. And he was really breathing heavily. There's a bit of a thing where he's having to compensate a little bit for that forward pack. I know he's moving all over the place, but he looks sad. I mean, I'm not saying that, it's probably everything that's gone on around him, maybe the RTS noise. But I don't think we should quit on him right now. Yeah, Ash, you got to.
He's still got 2 to 3 years left at least. Of his like prime, as you would say. My argument to it is, like, a lot of people obviously are trying to point out now at the moment he's positioning. Like, so my argument to his positioning, we've seen Roger be out of position as well. Like, people quickly forget that Raiders game, to try to put the Raiders pretty much up ahead to kill us out of the game, was Roger doing exactly what CNK has been done, The other thing is, like, that is actually a rugby league issue. That's not a Warriors issue. That's not a CNK issue. That's a league-wide issue. If you hear about a lot of boys talking about how our fullbacks defend these days, so it quickly changed when the big props started to come into the competition, the doggies and all that sort of stuff. As soon as you started defending on your line, you started to bring your fullback into line to create extra numbers, especially within that 20. And so your fullback ends up getting caught out of position a lot of times due to that. Teddy starts to get caught out of position these days as well. He's probably the most premier, fullback in competition. I've seen, Tommy Turbo get caught out that many times in the years, but he's still one of the most premier, fullbacks in the competition as well. Not saying that CNK is up with those levels, but, looking at numbers too, bro, like I've done numbers. I was going to wait until we do a little bit more of a post show, but I'll double up on that. Like looking at all three, so I've run the numbers on all three of the positions, players in the position. So try rate, RTS, CNK exactly the same, per game at fullback. Tane Tuapiki is slightly less than those two there. Try assist, Roger hasn't had one try assist in fullback yet. He played 4 games there on average. Yeah. CNK on average would get us 0.3, so he would be around like a lot better than what Tane is currently at 0.2. Line breaks, CNK is level with RTS at the moment per game average. Tackle breaks, he's right around that 5 average, which RTS is at the moment. Like all the key areas that people want RTS there is what CNK does, but RTS can offer that in other positions as well. Like I'm not too much opposed now to RTS becoming more of a winger than a center these days, but either me, like center and wing, I would prefer him over CNK center or wing. Like, again, like, everyone's made the argument. If you watch the Kiwis in the Pacific Championship or even just in the World Cup, I think it was the World Cup, you started to run CNK at center and wing.
Yep.
He's not preferred there. Back in his... Yeah, and I got like inside, like my missus' cousin played with him on his last year at the Melbourne Storm in his under-20s before he moved over. He was a fullback and he actually broke a lot of records at the Melbourne Storm before he left there. I think he had a 5-try game in his under-20s year that year and stuff. Had a lot of high potential before he moved on. Jesse Arthurs ended up getting that fullback role because CNK ended up getting a little bit older. But he's always been a fullback. He's always preferred to play fullback, and that's always been his position. RTS, we've seen him play wing. We've seen him play... Now he's playing center these days. We've seen him play fullback. Fullback is RTS's best position, but who's to say like center, wing, he was just as good as a winger as well. So that's my whole argument to it. There's positive and negative. People that says Tane Tuapiki, as I said, if you're going to complain about, his chance maybe having a couple of games off injury-wise, Tane hasn't filled out a full 80-minute game this year for us. He's had head knocks. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a lot of arguments to it, but I think CNK at the moment is our best consistent fullback. We just got top 4 last year with CNK at fullback, and he was a key piece, and he almost won Golden Boot in that Pacific Championship, with the Kiwis. And that last game, he was man of the match in that last game, right? Against Australia. So,
well, you got a top pack just doing the work, bro. You got energy to do stuff, you know what I mean? So just quickly, guys, help us get to 1,500. We got 43 in here right now. Hit that like. Woo! We like to get to 50. We like to get to 50 likes as well. Hit it, hit as many times as you possibly can. And then we're trying to get to 1,500 by the end of this week by the watch along and the full credit for the Sharks. So please come along and help us get there. We're not far off. I think about 42, maybe 40 away. Me and Ash done an amazing year of content. 1,000 new subscribers, which is big in rugby league terms, content terms.
Massive.
So and just shout out to my man Seren. This is my man Tamaki Warrior saying, hoping
Let's
we
go.
get more regular minutes for Zion, Dimitri, and Leka. That's the carrot for them to stay. They've been in the New South Wales Cup for a while. Yeah, shout out to my bro. We're going to be doing some stuff in the future for sure. Appreciate it, my brother. Just quickly, I want to go back to this one here, my man. Someone was asking about Ash. What are your thoughts on Paul Roach playing at 7 recently? Yeah, Jared just chucked that one at you.
I think that's honestly come down to hierarchy. Looking at like our 7s that run out, if we got one of our, Tomato Martin drops back, he's a 7. Luke Hansen sometimes steps up in that position there too, but sometimes he's not a full-fledged consistent 7 in cup grade at the moment. So I think it's more of the versatility of having Paulie Roach, and he can play there. I prefer Paulie Roach probably playing as a 9, more of a utility. But looking at the 9s that we have coming through with Olora, if I'm sorry if I mispronounced that as well, obviously Barlangi male, so I do apologize. And Dalfa that play hooker. Those 2 young guns, they're trying to get a lot of minutes in them in cup as well. So I think that's the reason why Paulie Roach had been pushed to the 7 is more so due to hierarchy and development, those younger boys at hooker. So I prefer him at a hooker in my opinion.
There was this one kid that was playing 9 on on Friday. I was watching him. He's very sharp, man.
Lure?
That Motu Faika, I think his name is.
Oh, yeah, he's nice, bro. He's got a goal kicking boot on him as well. He actually goal kicked for the Harold Mats.
Makaya
Not Harold
Tafua.
Mats.
Makaya Tafua. He was sharp, man. I like the service.
Yeah.
I think he's good, man. I thought he had some good movements, and probably like you said, getting more minutes into him as opposed to Paulie. He doesn't need those minutes anymore. He knows. We know he's a good mind. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Okay. Where are we? Yeah. Good chat around that. A lot of people chatting about CNK. Good. Sharing the man. Yep. Yeah, pump that like, people. They always
pump the like, baby.
Jazz, these guys just got it on. They must have it on copy and paste because these guys just bang, bang, bang. Copy,
They're freaks.
Bro,
they are freaks, bro.
Half of our followers have come from these followers pumping the like up. Shout out to our mods, bro. We appreciate you guys so much. We are the Wires, Melbourne Storm. Yeah, you doing a bit of trolling tonight, are you? You're going through the different lives, are you? Nah. We're blocking them, man. If you are Melbourne Storm, but appreciate you. Luke Adams saying change in management in 25, leaking a lot of points. Obviously not Webby, but assistants. I know you haven't been too big on it, Ash, but I mean, I've only said if you can upgrade and you think that it's a specialist guy that brings a special skill that is what you're looking for, then do it. But apart from that, like I can't think of an assistant right now that's available that I'm like, oh, bro, we need this guy. We absolutely.
Well, our two assistants that we got right now, like Slade Griffin, I touched with you guys personally in the chat, looking for our New South Wales Cup stats and stuff. So our last 2 years of New South Wales Cup have actually been our top 3 years in ever in New South Wales Cup. So for attack and defense. Slade Griffin was the head coach for that New South Wales Cup team last year that ended up making it all the way to a preliminary final. He's a well-established coach, a really good hooker. He was in the Melbourne system as a hooker at one stage too, so he's touched some big areas as well. I don't think that he should be moved on at all. And Richie Agar, he's actually had big connections with Webby as well. Richie's actually a really in-depth coach that came from England. He actually, I'm pretty sure he coached with Webby's brother over in England as well. And Webby's brother, before he ended up, having a mutual, quitting of his job over in England, he had like a 70% win rate side over there in England in like a second division or something like that. Yeah.
Richie's solid.
So Richie's a gun. I don't think our assistant coaches are too much of that. And people are arguing with Justin Morgan. Like, I continue to go back to it. It's like, when have you seen the Cowboys be better, defensively this year, than what we are? So I think honestly it's come down to the playing group not coming together. That's honestly really what it is for me.
I will bring this up right now, but I'll get it back into some comments soon. But it was so weird. I was right behind the try line, right on the north side, and it was so weird after I think Sherry went in on one of the tries that they got, the Bulldogs. They were just dead quiet in the huddle, man. Like there was no leadership. I felt like, man, there was no leaders in that huddle. The one where Marata let Kikau through and they scored, and you just saw AFB they're all looking at the screen and finding someone to blame, and they're like, he's getting angry at himself, and then AFB's yelling at him, "You idiot, what are you doing?" And then everyone else is quiet, and there's some definite leadership things. Even Barnett was quiet at times. Maybe he's doing it on purpose, but not saying you need an out-and-out screamer. But you need, I think the leadership needs to really be looked at next year. What's your thoughts on leadership? Who that will come from? Who are the leaders you think that we need? Next year.
Yeah, definitely, bro. It's Fish. Like I said, you can't speak well enough. The difference between the Dogs from last year to this year is a guy that helped implement the system of Serraldo within the Dogs. Like Critter, when you bring Critter over and he tells all the boys, this is what won me premierships and got me to the top grade, people are going to buy into that system. And I think that's really what he's done at the Dogs, and people can't speak highly enough of what Critter's done over there. I've heard a lot of great stories about Critter. But Fish will do that, but more so in the middle. We got to look at this guy does have that potential. He's the one that led the Kiwis to a record win over Australia. His leadership is not just Panthers, but also international grade. You know what I mean? Pair that up with Barnett, who I felt like was more of a leader than most of our big boys that we had last year in the toughest period that we had. He was our biggest standout. I think those two mixed together will be really, really good for us. I think they're going to be our pioneers and our leaders for the future. And again, like, just trying to think, we never brought over a Panther to the Warriors that really, reinforced Webby's plan. Webby did it with the side that he inherited over Nathan Brown's tenure, and that top four side that ended up going crazy. That was the first year without anyone even it had to come together after that Sharks game, right, where they bought into the system. But when you got a player like Fish that obviously has won 3 premierships in a row, could be 4 this year, but he was also a big part in Webby's tenure there as the assistant coach. If he goes down and says Webby's system works and this is why, and he does that, people are going to fall into line, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, that's what Critter's done for Serraldo. That's the whole thing. Is like,
bang on.
Yeah, you got Birdo, you got Critter, you got Kickout, you got Critter. All those boys, if they say that, well, we won during doing the system, like, it's just you guys that are the problem. Like, what can you say there? You got to step up your game. You know what I mean? And, I continue to go back. We had our best periods this year when we had a lot of those big individual leaders outside of our group, and we had some of our biggest wins. The Dolphins game was a big one where we didn't have Adam Fanor-Blake, and we didn't lose a big step in the middle. We didn't have Sean Johnson. We didn't have a lot of those key pieces there. I honestly think that will become more of a team, and the leadership group of Fisher Harris will probably drive us home. So I wouldn't be surprised if Fisher will end up finding his way maybe into a captaincy later on in the year, unless Barnett will probably get it a bit earlier. So,
mate, you make a great point. Like, a legit, never thought of it like that, actually, really. And like that tells me, like, mate, I think Webby needs to at least say, have Fish have his back and say, like, bro, if you guys aren't going to buy into this, you're gone.
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious. Next year's got to be like, nah, I've seen it work. The things that Webby's teaching you guys, you don't want to do it, get out.
Yeah. And as I said, the best way I can give it across to you guys too is, like, since Webby's been at the club from top to bottom, and I know I've even caught a little bit of heat from online too about this, but the system that he put into place is a system that goes down from our NRL to our Cup to our, all the way to SG Ball, all the way to Harold Matts. It's the very same system. It's all the way, like, down to the bottom. Like, we run very similar sets. We get to similar points on the field. We run very similar plays. Our Cup team, as I just pointed out to you before, our last 2 years are within our, our first and our third best years. And our third is currently because we're currently during a season right now, which is our 2024 season. That has the ability to be our second best season. So we would have had our best season and our second best season of Cup within 2 different head coaches in our New South Wales Cup grade. So that tells you that the overarching system is working within our junior base. And even no matter what coach steps up and really pioneers that roll it through down in our junior grades, something's working. So for me, when you think of the first grade squad, when you have a lot of boys that are scarred from the past, is why I continue to bring up scars from the past. Shawnee, Adam Fanor-Blake, they're all in the part of the COVID years, right? That, it was very up and down, very tumultuous. We had that many juniors in and out. When Fisher Harris comes over and says, this is what I know, this is what Webby's brought into me. And you hear all the Panthers boys love Webby. They love Serraldo for what they brought, and Ivan Cleary, obviously. So I'm sure that he will drive home the standards, and that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's great. It's a great chat. I just want to quickly, Team Mackie, do you think Allen and Montoya are wingers for 2025, or are we moving on from them? It's an interesting discussion. I've kind of been of the vein that their time is up, but then there's probably an argument that, I don't know, I just feel something I can't put my finger on it, but they are very productive, like yardage.
They are.
You can't fault them for that.
No.
And maybe you can't fault them from a systems thing where, like I just pointed out when I was watching the Bulldogs attack, the width with what Fox and Sherry have in their lines and the speed they have, it's just deadly. And I feel sometimes Montoya's with a really V shape, it puts him right tucked in behind, and for him to close that gap and score those tries, it's very difficult. unless you had an out and out Jason Saab type. So I think there's a bit of a system thing going, but also you do have to make calls before it's too late. That's the one thing I'm thinking is like you got to pull the pin like the year before they drop off to almost. So what's your thoughts on that, Ash? Dallin and Montoya.
I think out of the two, the one I'll circle is Marcelo. And I love Marcelo because of the energy and that he brings to the squad. But I feel like if there was one area that we needed to definitely upgrade on, it probably would be Marcelo. Dallin is on a different vein. Like I was listening to a podcast today, Matty Johns talking about Dallin, and Matty Johns rates Dallin really high. Like he rates him as like a top 5 winger in the competition. They did like a player, like a draft, him and his son. And he had Dallin with Ronaldo Molitalo as his 2 wingers. Obviously, Tahoe got brought off the board, but he chose Dallin over so many different wingers in the competition. So I know we are a little bit harsh on Dal because obviously we do see him majority of the games and obviously our team's not performing at the moment, but I know a lot of people actually rate Dallin as one of the best wingers in the competition, so we should probably look at that. And I don't think Dal's slow. I think Dal's pretty good. When I look at the other side, Marcelo, he offers good tackle breakability. I love his work rate, that sort of stuff, but I agree, like he's definitely the slower side of winger. And if we do progress, I probably would think that RTS maybe will end up getting looked at pushing into that wing position and like probably preferably have Ali Leotoa and Rocco Berry as our centers. Like I know that, Jacko's been a big proponent in our chat for a long time about that. I think that possibly would be the best area that we could look at doing. I know there's a lot of people want to talk about speed, but Metcalf is that speed, and there's not a lot of like great speedy wingers in the competition right now either. Like, not every team has it. You look at the Panthers back line, they're not the quickest back line either, and they still get it done week in, week out, you know what I mean? So in my opinion, I think that if we have Dallin, maybe Roger as the wingers, I think that could work really, really well. Unfortunately for me, Marcelo looks like the one to be pushed out. And he's got one more year left, 2025. So, yeah, that's where I kind of sit at the moment. There's a couple of good juniors that I like coming through that could get a spot there, but we'll have to wait who sticks their neck out and steps up into that position from junior base.
Who would be the winger for you from the juniors to come up? Is it Setutu or is it Pasikala? Or someone else?
I like Setutu. The only thing with Setutu is the drawback of like he is getting a little bit older. Like I think he's still about 25, but he's been around the system for a long time. He's like our top try scorer ever, like in New South Wales Cup or something like that. I saw it the other day. Pasikala's got something special. I don't want to put him in there way too early, but he's got something really, really special. The other guys I'm watching out for is Sio Gali. Is another young kid. He's got a lot of potential. And another one is Kahu Kappa that we got coming through, coming over from the Roosters. He's got more of a center build than that, but he's got he reminds me of Joseph Suoli'i, very much of like a Joseph Suoli'i type of mold. Yep. The last one I'll put out to you guys is Raphael Seal that plays in our Jersey Flag side as well. He's probably the quicker one that I've seen out of all those boys. I think Sio Kali's around about there too. Bussy Color is the one that's getting everyone's starting to notice him because he is jumped ups from SG Ball all the way into Cup. So he's definitely got something special there. So it's tough, bro. But it's I think Setutu right now would be the most experienced to get in there and do a job. But if you're talking about future proofing, it would be Bussy Color.
Well, that's what I honestly wouldn't be afraid to try a wing of Pasikala or Setutu to match with a Leotoa. Like I said, I was just so impressed by Sherry and Fox. I mean, they're more experienced players, obviously, and they've done it at all levels, especially Fox. But just to see that combined speed, just kind of go and sync in harmony, you just I feel for Montoya at times. He's got Capewell on his inside, and he's got Pompey. We love Pomps, but you do need to kind of, if you can, pair the speed up with speeds. I think that might be a good shout, but mate, you talk about Pasikala or Setutu. I just think it's time. Like you said, some guys, SJ was his time to retire. Yep. Monty's probably in a similar space where it's like you've had your good run. He's been here 2021. He's had like 4 straight years. The young boys are coming through. It might just be time, to But I think Dell's still productive enough. Like I agree. I agree, and it maybe him and Berry might be the combo that works better. Like Berry's got Berry. Well, I think Berry's actually got very good quick foot speed as well. Like
he's yet to unleash his attacking game, bro. Still waiting on it. He's yet to it, but I think it's more systematically he's left into the role. But I agree. I think he's got good footwork. But the thing on Bus,
like his footwork speed can gain ground quickly to then like slingshot Dallin together. You know what I mean? Like that slingshot play, that V shape was so good with those two going in harmony that it's just like boom. Like
he's got really good timing. He sets really well, and I think that's more of a combination thing too. But also looking at his kick chase, like he's got the speed to get down there and be one of the first men there at his kick chase as well. So a lot of people forget that aspect of Rocco Berry this year. The thing I want to say about everything around Bussy Colour at the moment is he is still very, very young. Defensively is the last area that usually these guys do come up with, and he has had defensive issues in Cup. I'm sure a lot of boys that watch consistent Cup will actually attest to that. I think Setsu 2 defensively would probably be a little bit higher on that grade. And Setsu 2, like, I agree with you. The more I see Setsu 2, my comparison is Sione Katoa. You're the one that brought that up first of all, and I can't get it out of my head. His tackle break ability is really, really nice. I think he's got good finishing ability. He's got the position to play fullback as well. He could play center. He's played multiple different positions in Cup, but winger is his preferred. So I'd like to see that. And now being put into development deals, I'd probably say we probably see a little bit more out of him in the future.
Who was that? Sione Katoa? What was the guy you mentioned?
Sione Katoa, the winger for the Sharks.
Yeah, that guy.
Reminds me so much of him now. Now that you said it, I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah, Katoa, yeah. They look kind of similar too. I do think that like the sit. I need guys that can get off their mark quick. Like Setu 2, quick turn ability, like quick turning speed. Like Montoya is very good. Positional stuff I think is okay, like from kick returns, but you need guys that can just turn on a dime. Like you look at Leotoa sometimes, I think, like Halasima, these guys can turn on turn on an absolute dime, like and just change the angle, and you need that from the outside backs as well. I think that's so important.
Sio Kali, bro, that's the name I'm waiting for.
Sio Kali's on you? Yeah, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Don't they say once you have a podcast, you're on the way out? Yeah, that's true, man. That is a great podcast, man. I've enjoyed it.
Is.
They're good.
It's a good giggle.
It's a good one. The cheerleader one was funny, man.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a winger. You're that close to being a cheerleader.
Yeah. Guys, checking any more last comments. I will go for another 13. I've been on for an hour and a half. I said I was going to do an hour, but it's good to have my man Ash on here. You can hit us with those 1,500 subs. We're nearly there, and the likes as well helps the thing. Would love to have it before by Saturday's watch along. Anything on the top of your head while we're waiting for some more questions, Ash?
Oh, trying to think. Yeah, a lot of stuff I kind of just spew out in general, like that I've got thinking about in my head, like. I'm very, very positive on like where the club is as overall. Watching Cup is the biggest area. If you want to be positive around our side this year, they're on a massive run home, top 4 currently right now. The first time that we're going to go back-to-back top 4 finishes in Cup ever in our history. The last time we got close to that was from 2017. So yeah, I'm really excited for that for future. But this is a good comment.
Yeah, would you guys have look at Tanner Boyd, Lachlan Ilias, stuck in reserve grade, genuine 7s?
No.
Yeah,
no way.
Yeah.
Do we want another Aussie to come over and then halfway through a year leave us?
You can't trust them. You just can't trust these guys.
For both guys that have had ability but have been scarred by their developments to start with, it's another Ash Taylor situation. Same like. Jake Clifford's got that potential as well, and he looked great over the weekend. But, like, again, I don't want to be the team anymore that, we had to do that in COVID due to, like, how broken we were, right? But, like, we shouldn't be that. I think we can build homegrown. And Tomato Martin, I've really enjoyed what he did for us this year. Obviously, kicking game is a lot of people's drawback to him, but his short kicking game as well, and like long kicking game, like he'll grow at that. I actually had a chat with so obviously my missus cousin, she's obviously she's dating a guy that's really close to, like, he played Burleigh Bears and stuff like that. Anyway, so a lot going on, and he actually played against Tomato Martin in New Zealand. When Tomato Martin first went over to New Zealand, back over, and when I first said like his kicking game's not amazing, he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Bro, like if you watch like first grade now," he's like, "Bro, like." Give him time. Like, he's all right. Like, I don't know if that's just like him being like, but he's like, bro, he kicked us to bits, like, in thing. So you just got to get him time into that boot and get him used to it.
Yeah. And again, I have this big argument about kicking game with Ed Jacko, and like I'm just surprised that the guy that has the worst kicking game, long kicking game, has the best record for us. That's
This season.
So it tells you a lot about halves play. It's not, you got to have the balance right. But yeah, no, that's an interesting one too. My actual interest, like, and this is kind of scary. I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast with Kurt Angle, and he's talking about neck fusions and stuff, and like, do not get a neck fusion but when I heard that Tamaite went and got his neck surgery, I'm like, oh crap, I hope it's not. Because if you actually look at it, sometimes when I look at him kicking, I'm like, why is your head down so low and you don't follow through? Some of his movements are really, like, you kind of see like he doesn't have a full movement up above. And maybe I was thinking maybe that was an issue with his neck. Was like, I'm worried about his mobility moving forward if he's had neck surgery. That that for me is a more bigger concern. Just after watching what they talk about necks and stuff, like if you break your neck and you have to get neck fusion, like that was, for me, was kind of interesting.
Well, so I'll give you examples, bro. Like, he's got, like, Jonathan Thurston goes down as one of the greatest halves of all time. Jonathan Thurston never had an amazing long kicking game. He was a really good short kicker, really good pinpoint kicker in moments too. He found the grass. Not saying Tomato Martin and Jonathan Thurston are the same player, but there's been halfbacks in this competition that got around really well with short kicking games. James Maloney that we had here never had an amazing long kicking game either. And he got around. He was a great halfback. Obviously, having a great big kicking game is definitely a massive plus, right? And it would be nice if, like, I've seen a lot of good things out of Luke Metcalf. He's definitely got a decent boot on him. But I don't think we need to ruin our whole club just to find a kicker like that if they don't offer anything else other than just being a long kicker. Like, I like Tomato Martin's rest of his game defensively, his gunslinging mentality, the try assist, and as we touched on, if it wasn't for those couple of moments of with goal kicking and that like that, he would have only lost one game for us this season, and that one game would have been the complete backline getting ruined by the Bulldogs. So that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, he gets blamed for not being clutch, but SJ in the other games is like not even close to being in Golden Point. I was like, okay, you pick and choose your arguments however you want it. It's all good. But I actually think for a combination, Tamaiti and Metcalf would be really good.
I do too,
because I can see Metcalf getting on the ball and Tamaiti playing a little bit of second receiver, and I can see Metcalf. Like, I was really impressed with Metcalf that he got better touches than I think he usually does as a 6. And he was able to get the Capewell one was really nice. Who else? There was who else got that other try off of him? Pompey went through, and then Montoya pretty much went through the same play. Like, I think he's going to be good, man. And I think actually, and I've always said this from the start, I think he works better left to right.
Yeah,
and he hasn't had that opportunity playing with Sean. Just hasn't happened. So I think there's going to be this kind of opportunity for both of them to really develop. I personally think CHT is a backup half. There's something mentally when you miss kicks like that he has to overcome some mental hurdles, in my opinion. And it's not just kicking. There's other stuff happening around that. But I do value him. I love his left foot kicking game. I love all those elements. But I still feel as though that Tamaiti is much more of a threat. And defensively, you got to give Tamaiti credit as well. He's a good defender. You can't take that away from him. And so I think that the balance of him and Metcalf would work. Yeah, I'm beginning to come around to that.
On with that, bro, like if you think about like our combination with Tomato Martin and CHT, you know who actually had the more dominant boot out of those two when we had that combination? It was CHT.
Yeah, it was CHT, yes.
Yeah, so he had the more dominant long kicking game out of the situation. Who is it to say that like Luke Metcalf won't be more of our dominant kicker when Tomato Martin's there as well?
Yeah, he will be.
He will be, right? He will be. So if we're going to worry about that sort of game, like, you know, Luke Metcalf's got a decent long kicking game. We saw it in Cup. He had a really nice 40-20 before getting into first grade. He was apparently kicking the boys to bits down that side. So I'm excited to see that in the future. I think that's our preferable halfback pairing for the future at the moment. I don't see any half on the market that I want to push those boys out for at all, really, on the market. If you really think about it, like for me, like Tanner Boyd had a really good game against us a couple of times there, but other than that, Tanner Boyd is so up and down, and we've seen it that many times in his competition that they don't even play him in that 6 or 7 role at the moment there at the Titans. And then Lockie Ilias had been scarred from those moments of the Rabbitohs where he got pretty much blamed for every single thing going on at the Rabbitohs currently right now. And look where it's got him. So I would rather have two guys that would have a fuller confidence, that Webby would have humming. Tomato Martin, Luke Metcalf, I think he'll give all the confidence to those two there, and they'll get us to where we need to get to.
Yeah. At least CHT stepped up. Jacko, I didn't see Katoa take a drop goal for the Dolphins in that game. Who was the drop goal guy? It was...
Off the bench, Sean O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan
was the guy, yeah.
So he doesn't have to be the drop goal guy. He got you to the spot. He got you 5 try assists. He got you to the golden point. It was a clear call that he wasn't the drop goal guy. It's not his job. Katoa didn't have to do it. So you know what I'm saying?
And the combination, like one of our best combinations was Tomato Martin CHT, that Cowboys game where we blew out the Cowboys the way we did, like, you know, and it didn't even come close to where we needed to have that. So, and overall, I think when we get to those moments now, I think Luke Metcalf will be the guy. Just seeing how confident he is talking about how he wants to be a 7, how he wants to do this, wants to do that. I think the mentality that he has is he's going to be the one to be like, I want to be the goal kicker. I want to be the field goal kicker. I want to be the guy. So I think in those moments, that's where Luke Metcalf will step up.
He will be. And I'm not saying that Tomaito's, you know, I don't even think he has to be this amazing clutch player. I just think that Metcalf will be that guy. And I think they'll balance each other out. Even if Metcalf's the 7, look, say Metcalf goes left to right more, does what Sean does. That's great because Tomaito was more of a right to left player.
Yep.
So they should be able to balance each other out well if they get the time in preseason to work on it. So you know what I'm saying? I think they actually, you saw Tomato's plays, he liked to work right to left. I think Metcalf, once we see it, he will be more left to right and stronger in that and more dominant in that shape going to the right. So working with Dallin, Berry, who else, Marato, or whoever it might be, I think he'll unlock them a bit more. Yeah.
Agreed, bro. Agreed. I think that those would be the best pairing that we have. I'm just trying to check in stats wise, like in the New South Wales Cup when they both ran that halves pairing, who had the more dominant. I think Luke Metcalf obviously played 40 minutes in that game, the first game back where they were the halves pairing. But I'm pretty sure he had, Tomato ended up with the more kicking meters, but he had 70 kicking meters within that first little period. So, but either way, I think that when we run it out, I think Tomato Martin will play more like a 7 to get him around the park, but when it comes to kicking game, Luke Metcalf will take over that 7 jersey and be that guy. So I don't think
I'm just really I'm really big on cohesion. Like for me, the CHT and Tomato was more cohesive than Sean and Tomato, or like even Sean and CHT at times. Tomato and CHT worked, and I'm looking forward to just really want to see Tomato and Metcalf like have a full preseason and see what they can come up with, As best we can hope for,
Agreed, bro. Agreed.
Guys, we'll kind of leave it there. Just maybe this one. Luke Adams, by all accounts, we got cap left, particularly if Bunty walks leaving, like the rumors SJ coin too. Rather than a specific play, where would you spend the cap? We need to spend 90%. Yeah, I think Ash is. I think we're both in the kind of space of development. We both agree with that. Sign those guys up long term. use that money wisely because you can get them at a cheaper price, obviously. And if they become what you need to become, I've only said you need to get the one piece that you think is going to take it another level up, then get that. And maybe it's in a position that there isn't a natural young guy coming through. But if you look at the development, there's guys coming through in all places, like in all. But I heard Ben Farr was getting released. Not sure what's happening. Lee Hansen's getting bumped up now. You check maybe if you could get if you got a blooming, I don't know who, but we're not the club to attract all of that. But what's your thoughts on this, Ash? You kind of the same vein as me?
Yeah, when I look at everything else, bro, like we got fullbacks for days. Like everyone at the club wants different fullbacks, so that just shows that we've got a fullback at CNK, Tane, Roger. So really, that's all locked up. When you look at spine pieces, number 9, we got Wade Egan. People are calling for Paulie Roach now. People are calling for Freddie Lussick. So we've got some nice pieces there. Obviously, Paulie Roach has helped that depth really grow there. Halves pairing, a little bit light there, but you still got, Tomato Martin, Luke Metcalf, CHT. Now looking at Luke Hansen. Jet Cleary, for everyone's asking about Jet Cleary, still a couple of years off, but we'll still add him as around our development pieces there as well. But for me, it's just keeping these juniors at our club. It's always been the Warriors' problem. We've already got juniors coming through and said they're going to pledge their allegiance for the Warriors. They want to win a premiership as a Warrior and change the whole mindset of New Zealand Kiwis going across overseas and getting contracts in Australia to become better players. That's going to change, hopefully. And the only way that can change is if we're willing to fund them and to really keep them around our club and show that we have opportunities there. But obviously, seeing that players like Leo Thompson come on the market, it probably wouldn't be too bad to maybe chuck a little bit at him if we don't want him, but I don't think we should chase him too hard. Like, we don't need to go big on him. It's if he wants to come, he can come for 700k, 600k, right? Like, which is a fair salary for someone like him. And then you look at boys like Sifa Cooler and that probably like 400, 500k, stuff like that. So just start handing those boys out a little bit of the checkbook and just say, listen, we're in with you guys for the future. Give them confidence. That's where I kind of see us as just more development stuff.
Yeah, I'm like I even said, Aaron Clark, no more than 500 or 400 even. Leo Thompson, similar range, 5, 6, like nothing more than that for me personally. Because I would invest the money. Yeah, I don't want to be doing too many 800k contracts for guys like a new Corday, where he's not playing the whole game. He's so that's where we do need to be sharper in a lot of these contracts. Thank you guys. Okay, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you guys. If not, we'll get to the questions tomorrow night. Any guys, All You Can Eat Warriors will be on. Special guests, ET Stand Podcast. They're guys that are doing Sharks content. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Sharks, but now these guys are good guys. And we'll combine with them. They'll come on probably about 8:45. We'll do our little spiel and then bring the boys on and they'll combine 17 with them. Real interesting because it's like we played the Sharks to start off with, and we're finishing with the Sharks, and everything in between has been so different from us. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be a real good one. But yeah, coming for that, guys, and then we'll give you all the dates and stuff for the watch alongs. But let's get to 1,500. Yes, 1,500 is our target for the regular season. Appreciate everyone.
Get it up, baby.
Okay,
let's go.
Leave it there, guys. Stay safe. See you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for All You Can Eat Warriors. See ya.
Up the was.